I'm going to take these bolts out. There's 4. Use a 7mm socket. And this one happens to be a Phillips head, but it should be a 7mm. Take that off, and then this panel just comes right out. Just pop it out, just like that. Take this panel off, use a 10mm socket. Take these bolts out. Just slides out of the way. Take these screws out, use a Phillips head screwdriver. Over here, there's a little cover. Take that cover off, and there's 2 more screws. Take those out. Same Phillips head. There's a little cover down here. And there's a couple more screws under there. Pull those up, and this lifts out. There's 2 screws, one right here, one on the other side. We're going to take those out. Use a 7mm socket. The front 2 cup holders, take the rubber part out, just slides out, and there's 2 screws in there. Use the same 7mm socket. Take those out. Now with the shifter boot, you want to pull up on the leather part. It just unsnaps. And then the knob itself, there is a T15. You're going to use a T15 driver or socket. And just loosen this up, and you should be able to slide that up. You don't have to take that screw out completely, you just have to loosen it up so it slides off. Temporarily, we're just going to pull up on the parking brake. You're going to turn the key in the on position so you can shift out of park. We can raise this up. Underneath, there's the electrical connector right here. You want to disconnect that. Squeeze the 2 tabs on the back side, then slide this purple ratchet down. That's how you disconnect it. Just slide it up. And out of the way. At this point, you can shift it back into park. Shut the key off. Take this panel off, use a Phillips head screwdriver. There's a screw right here. And there's one on the other side. And just grab it and pull. There's a couple push clips holding it in. Just slide that out of the way. There's a push pin behind here. You just use a trim tool. Just get underneath it. There's the push pin, and then this whole piece just slides out. Take these 2 nuts off, use a 10mm socket. Just use a 7mm socket. Take that off. Now we need to take this panel out. There's 2 10mm bolts that are coming in from the back side, so you need to go from underneath and try to grab those bolts. I'm just going to use a 10mm socket. Take that bolt out. There's 2 of them. Now we want to slide this off. There is 2 studs right here that are kind of in the way. You can try to take those out now, or just slide this off out of the way. You're going to use an E5 socket. Take these 2 studs off. can grab the shield. You can go past where the studs were. Just try to slide it down, just try not to break the plastic. And just slide it out. Disconnect the connector for the actuator. There's just a little push tab right there. That just slides out. Now we're going to take these two screws out. There's one on the top, one down below. Use a 5.5 millimeter socket. Take those out. You can grab the actuator and just wiggle it out. It comes right out. Take the new actuator. You're gonna have to put it over where the blend door goes into the cam, right here first, and you might have to rotate it a little bit, depending on where the door is. Take the screws, get the screws started. Snug that down and snug this one down. Now line the connector up and plug it in. Now we want to slide this panel back in place. If you squeeze it together a little bit, then you can slide it past. And then before I slide that out, I'm going to put those two studs back in. Just snug those up. Just try to slide this up a little bit. Pull it out over the studs. Be careful when you do this as well, because it is a little bit sharp. There we go. It's right in position. Now we can get the bolts started on the back side. Put these two nuts back over the studs, tighten those down. And where this wire goes, you want to put this bolt or screw and tighten that down. Slide that in position. And then there's a push pin that goes on this side. Just line that up with the bracket and push it in. Now I'm going to put this shield back, line this up, put the two bolts in. And tighten those down. Now this cover's going to go next. Line this up. And push it in. And put the bolts in. Tighten those down. And take this cover, slide this bracket on, lock it in place. The DLC connector is going to go through there. And if you have the screws for that, put those screws in. a little push pin right here that goes there. And anything else that has to be lined up, slide it in position. And put the 2 screws in. And tighten them down. Take this piece, slide it in position, push the 2 push pins in first. Then you can put the screws in the side. Now we're going to turn the key on so we can shift the shifter out of park. You want to make sure you don't touch any of the HVAC controls. It has to do a automatic relearn, so just leave that alone. Now just slide it in position. And plug the connector in, ratchet it down, and then try to get it onto that retainer that's attached to the bracket. Just slide it on. Now we can put it back in park, put the parking brake down, turn the key off. Now get these screws started, and the cup holders. Oops. Put these covers back in. And the screws that go in here, get those started and tighten them down. Now I'll put this cover on. Get all the screws, get those all started, and then tighten them down. And these covers can go back. That one down below, this one right there. Close it up. Now the shifter boot. Slide that back over. Push it down, lock it in place. And then just snug up that bolt in the back seat. Just pull the back seat up, just like that. There's the lever. There's a fuse box under here. Just grab this cover, pull it up. There is a couple of lock tabs, one on this side, one on the other. So separate those, pull those apart. In the back of here, there's the key for the fuses. And we want to pull this fuse right here, HVAC B. It's fuse number 36. So pull this cover off. Okay, so it's this fuse right here. Just pull this 10 amp fuse out. And you want to keep this out for about 10 seconds. This is going to recalibrate the HVAC blend doors or all the different doors. After you leave it out for 10 seconds, we'll put it back in. Slide it back in position. Close it up. Cover back in place. At this point, you can start the vehicle. Make sure you don't touch any of the HVAC controls for 40 seconds. They have to do a recalibration. After the 40 seconds, it should be good to go. You should be able to use them as normal.